Okay, we are here with now Master Roy Harris, who just got his coral bout. How does it feel?
Surreal. It hasn't sunk in yet, but it feels really good. It feels yeah. I have no words for it. Yeah.
Okay, well, you've been doing this for a while.
As somebody who started out on this journey many moons ago and had the intention of only doing 2 or 3 years to learn the basics and go back to doing my thing. I've stuck with it this long, and now to be awarded this unique belt, to say it's an honor, it's a privilege. These are all true, but they don't quite capture what it is I want to say. I'd have to think on the words to fully describe how I feel and the privilege that I feel with this belt around my waist now.
Well, you've definitely earned it. You've been doing this a long time. You've had a few academies. You give instructionals on apps and online. And what does your academy look like now?
Now it's very different from everything else I've done in the past. In the past, I kind of had larger academies. The first academy had maybe 100, 120 students. The second academy was a little over 200 students. This one now has 12 to 14 students. It's a very small space, a little under 600 square feet. And I have a few handfuls of students that three focuses. Number one, we focus on ministry, helping people. Number two, we focused on helping people get skill set, helping the students at the academy get skill sets quicker than traditional means. And third, it's a small facility that allows me to film a lot more than I did in the past. And so the new academy is it's just the right fit. I have a great group of people, and I love pouring into people at the new academy.
Well, and you talked about it's a filming studio, so that means you have a lot of videos coming out, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and where can we find those?
Right now, my main website, royharris.com, is being revamped. I also have another website, royharrisonlinecourses.com, where I have 4 courses right now, but more going up soon. And, my niche, my area of contribution in jiu-jitsu is I've made a concerted effort to simplify things and help students to focus on what I feel are those things most important. Learning techniques all the time is it's good for community. It's good for, I will loosely use the term entertainment. It's fun to learn this, but it doesn't help with skill set that much. And when people tend to focus exclusively on technique and learning techniques all the time, I believe it detracts from gaining skill sets. And then there are other elements to having a usable, repeatable, measurable skill set that are outside of the realm of techniques. And so these are the things that I focus on in my academy.
Well, and you also have your students take notes, and you also use a whiteboard, which I've never seen before. Why is that?
Because I believe that good instruction needs to be clear, but it also needs to be focused. When we have a period of time, like say 60 minutes together, there's only so much information that a student's actually going to be able to remember, retain, and put into whatever they're currently doing. In other words, be able to use it. There's only so much a student can actually absorb. And so when you have a group environment where you have some people that learn visually, others who learn auditorially, others who learn by feel, kinesthetics, and then there's a fourth category where you have people who learn by a mix of all these different elements. I try and help people with good verbal instruction, but also I like to write on the board to help students to remember not just what they saw me doing with the movements, but also to remember certain concepts that help with retention and understanding.
Well, and you also you focus on efficiency and you focus on people not getting hurt,
Yes.
and how that seems different than what most other schools teach.
It's different because when I look at jiu-jitsu here in America, I see that the majority of us spend time doing it as a hobby. Yes, I understand there's the competitive aspect of jiu-jitsu, and I do understand that there are some people who are paid professionals and they do a lot of tournaments, but the vast majority of us are hobbyists. And secondly, even those who are competitors, they don't train 24/7. They don't train 20 hours a week to compete. You know, it's December now. They're not training 4, 5, 6 days a week now in preparation for a tournament in May. They usually start prepping around Marchish or so to get ready. And so, since most of our time is spent with a community that we adore and we don't want to hurt, I think the majority of our time needs to be focused on elements of training that are focused on longevity, enjoyment, and safety and progression for all involved parties, not just the talented athletic few.
Interesting. And you were talking about concepts and principles in jiu-jitsu, but it seems like those also translate to other arts you teach, like Jeet Kune Do. Is that right?
Yes, yes, that's where my roots come from. So I started this whole martial arts journey in the Jeet Kune Do concepts under Guru Dan Santo and one of his instructors in Minnesota named Sifu Rick Fei. And so this whole idea of concept principle-based teaching came from them. And so when I came to Jiu-Jitsu, it was during the era of it's all about technique. And I just never I'll say it like this, I just never drank from that Kool-Aid. I tried to look bigger than just a technique. I tried to look at what are some of the concepts, not just concepts, but primary concepts, which leads to a principle that is something that can be applied to other areas as well. And so I had a different lens through which I looked at jiu-jitsu right from the start. And once I got to purple belt level was when I actually opened my first academy in San Diego. And as I started teaching, like everybody else, I wasn't a really good teacher. Even though I had some concepts that could guide, I wasn't a really good teacher. But over time, time kind of beats you up, and you talk to people and then discover like, wow, you don't do this, you don't say that. And so over time, I have kind of economized and tried to become more efficient even in my teaching. And so having primary concepts guide your practice and your training is a way of training for your 50s, 60s, and 70s. And having turned 61 this year, I can tell you that 61 is different than 51, very different than 41, no comparison to 31, and I don't remember 21. And so when you start doing this jiu-jitsu stuff in your 60s and you have to spar against, the 5'9", 230-pound white belt who was a Division I wrestler, that's quite a handle. That's quite an individual to try and spar on the mats with. And then when they gain some jiu-jitsu knowledge, they got 3 months, 6 months, a year. That's an animal. And so the journey with techniques only goes so far with those people. You have to have some principles and concepts that will guide you.
Well, and you're a prime example of that because, like you said, you're in your 60s now, and you still beat all the young, tough competitor black belts that you have using your stuff.
Yes. I have two primary principles that I use for everything that I do. Number one, distance. Number two, angle. Everything in jiu-jitsu is based upon distance. Let me tell you a story. I'm got a couple guys they want to test for purple belt, and they asked me to spar with them, and they're athletic wrestlers. So what I did was I sparred with them very soft, and they couldn't do anything. And they were frustrated, like, why couldn't I do anything? I said, I wanted you to experience the power of softness. Because people hear about softness and they go, that doesn't work. Well, these guys experienced it and like, well, how come what we didn't work? I said, simple. I managed distance and I managed angle. I said, put me in your guard, and I put my elbow on their belly, just above their belly button, and I said, go ahead and spin for the arm lock. And he spun and took my arm and made me tap. I said, how'd that feel? And he said, that was easy. I said, go ahead and do it again. He hugged my arm, and I moved myself closer to him, and my arm was still relaxed, and he couldn't get the leg over my face. Then he pushed my head away, and he wanted to push me back 3 or 4 inches, just enough so he could get the leg over the face. Well, I pulled back another 3 or 4 inches, and I was too far away. And then he pulled me. And so I said, do you see how I'm not using strength? I'm using a simple principle called distancing. And so because I manage distance, everybody who doesn't understand this, they think I'm using strength. But you felt my arm was totally relaxed. And so by having certain principles which are primary, upon which everything else is derivative, these can help you when you have to deal with athleticism, because when you got the guys that have the V back and they got the 6-pack and the 8-pack, that's something to deal with. And then you give them the knowledge of jiu-jitsu, it's a nightmare. You give them a bunch of years like a purple belt, oh my word. And so I am able to neutralize what these guys do through the management of distance and angle.
Wow, and now you have your coral belt, and you don't look like you're slowing down anytime soon. So, so what's next for you?
What's next is I'm planning on sharing more of this with people, because my niche is not so much the competition jiu-jitsu, but the longevity. You know, I believe, because I'm 61 years old and I got a little gray hair going on here, I believe I'm qualified to present on this. And because one of the that most people don't know is I've had so many people, especially black belts from Israel, from Norway, from Brazil, from all over, find me in San Diego, look me up, want to take a private lesson with me, and then ask me to spar. And you know what that means. You know, can we roll? Or can we flow roll? Can we roll light? You know what that means. And so I've had to do my thing, and my thing is very simple. And after I do it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, then they want to learn. Oh, you don't seem like you're using that much force, and you keep doing the same thing over and over again. So I want to share more of this with people who are interested in more of the longevity-based training rather than just the hard competition training. Nothing wrong with that, but trust me, you reach a point in time in life where, as I say it, the Wrightus brothers find you. Arthritis and bursitis. They find you, and injuries take so much longer to heal. And so, yeah, I'm here for the longevity-based and enjoyment. And so I want to share that with the world. Right now, I've actually filled up one 5-terabyte hard drive full of videos. There's well over 100 on there. Haven't released it yet. I'm waiting to release it, but yeah, I plan on putting more of this stuff online in the days, weeks, months to come.
Awesome. We look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.